That was murder.
It was justified. It was justified. Have we learned nothing about waiting until all of the facts come in before making an informed decision? So let's look at the facts. There was a woman impeding ICE while they were actively trying to pursue someone. They tell her to get out of the way. She doesn't listen. They push her, at which point Alex Preddy comes to the sapient conclusion to physically engage with said ICE officer. At which point the officer then pepper sprays Preddy, and rightfully so. He tries to detain him, and then other officers come over to help with the detainment. Now, once they got him down on the ground, there was still an active struggle, at which point one ICE officer removes Preddy's holstered weapon, and upon seeing Preddy's weapon being confiscated, another ICE officer then draws his own service weapon and gets it in the readiness position. Now, this is completely normal. They have reasonable suspicion to believe that this man might have another weapon somewhere on his person. You have to look at this from the ICE agent's perspective. They are essentially being hunted right now in the United States. There is a target on all of their backs. It would appear that half of the country hates them and wants to do them harm. So when they come in contact with an individual who is physically engaging with them, does appear to be an active threat, and has a weapon that they have now seen, though it was confiscated, and legally or illegally, it doesn't matter. What's to say he doesn't have another one? Now, the most likely scenario for what happened after was it looked like the ICE agent who removed Preddy's weapon was walking away with it, and it discharged. Now, whether that was just bad finger discipline or what, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. And upon hearing that shot, the ICE agents who were looking in the opposite direction while still trying to detain Preddy had reasonable suspicion to believe that they were in imminent danger, and the shot came from Preddy himself, and they neutralized what they perceived to be the threat. And if you look at this still shot, just mere seconds before he was fatally shot, you will see in his right hand what appears to be his phone. At that point, this was after the discharge. These ICE officers are more than likely assuming that what is in his hand is another firearm. Now, much like Renee Good's story, I do not believe that Preddy was a threat. I don't think he was actively trying to harm anyone. That having been said, I think he was a moron who was playing a very dangerous game. And this was not Alex's first time trying to physically engage with ICE officers, as we have newly obtained footage from a week prior where he kicked out a taillight on an ICE vehicle and then got into a physical altercation with ICE agents on that date as well. Now, is this situation sad? Yes, I'm not going to be like other people on the right who make memes about him and jokes about it. It's not a laughing matter. A human life was lost, and I don't think that this gentleman did enough to warrant losing his life. That having been said, I don't think the ICE officers were acting with malice. I think that they were reacting in a high-intensity situation. But that is what happens when you play these very dangerous games. Had he not put his hands on the officer, had he not struggled during the detainment, in fact, had he just stayed off to the side filming the entire time, he would have been fine. In fact, that is your best weapon against ICE, if you perceive them to be a threat. I don't, but if you do and you want to protest them, that's fine. Go ape shit. But your best line of defense is your camera. Follow them around all day long. Film them everywhere they go. At some point, you may catch one or two of them slipping, and when you do, guess what? Now you have real, active evidence and leverage to make what you perceive to be a change. But physically engaging with them is only going to get you hurt. And then what? You get posthumous media coverage for about 2 weeks, and then you fade down the memory hole. And that's it. This is not about Republican or Democrat. This is about being able to look at a situation as not simply black or white, but as gray. Because oftentimes, in reality, situations are not just black or white. There is a lot of gray zone, and in that gray zone often lies the truth. But the truth is not as attractive as sensationalized headlines. I am not a law enforcement apologist. I do not believe that all law enforcement is perfect. In fact, I still believe that Philip Brailsford should have been given a life sentence or worse. Now, a lot of you probably forgot about him. Some of you may have never even heard of him. Go look it up, because that is a sterling example of cold-blooded murder being carried out by law enforcement. But these ICE incidents surely are not that. No matter what people like performative crocodile tears wannabe tough guy Yosemite Sam has to say, or Natalie Portman, or Edward Norton, or Mark Ruffalo, etc., so forth, it goes on and on and on. Listen, these people are just bullshit artists. They're wannabe activists, right? Because all they want is more clicks, more fame, etc. Engagement. That's what they want. Period. Either that, or they truly are that daft and do not carry out any research beyond a headline. But you tell me, I'll let you be the judge. Either way, why let truth get in the way of convenient narrative?